This episode is sponsored by Artifacts. Artifacts is based out of Front Royal, Virginia, and is a fellowship opportunity for Catholic men. Each month, they gather to network, socialize, and hear from inspiring speakers, building brotherhood, strengthening faith, and creating opportunities to grow together. For more information, go to www.artifacts.life or follow on Instagram at Artifacts Group VA. This upcoming Friday, April 17th, Artifacts is hosting their first ever pitch night, which is a Shark Tank style pitch night complete with judges and I guess what you'd call a live audience. We've got a couple of different groups coming. I just interviewed Stephen Pilon, who is one of the pitchers at the event. I guess we're calling them pitchers. I don't know. The people selling their product or idea, not their soul. The second guest this evening, we're able to get all three of them in the studio this evening, thankfully. So the second guest is Patrick Kilner. Is that how you pronounce it? Kilner? Okay. And here's his bio. Patrick Kilner is a 22-year veteran of the real estate industry. He founded and has led brokerages, trained agents, and has guided thousands of transactions with more than $1 billion in lifetime sales. He's the founder of Whoovia, a platform where top agents list their buyer clients' needs and make them discoverable by homeowners. Think Zillow in reverse. Most importantly, Pat and his wife, Elena, of 22 years, are parents to 8 children, and the age ranges from 20 to 6. And before we get into it, do you have a website that you can plug for Whoovia?
Whoovia.com.
Whoovia.com. Doesn't get easier than that. I've got a little gift for you that I mentioned before we started recording. This is from Primal Beef. They're a online beef store. They have cattle here and also in, I think in the Richmond area. They ship all over the country. They just started doing jerky, and they've got a lot of stuff coming. This is part of the monthly subscription plan that I do. So they send me, you can cater your order, but I've got some other bags here, but you can get like cracked black pepper, teriyaki. They have a hot version and then the original. I think they're coming out with some new flavors. So that's usually my guest gift because everyone likes jerky, and the people that turn it down, I say, no problem. I will eat it for you on air for any vegans out there. So anyway, thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Nice chatting with you a bit before we started recording, but as these things go, it's sometimes it's easier, I've learned with the long format, to kind of walk in blind, because if you talk for like an hour beforehand, then you get on the show and you're like, oh, well, we already had all the small talk. What are we supposed to talk about again? So
you're about as blind as they come today.
Yes. I've never met you before. Didn't even look up your website. Even though I had time, I was like, no, I want to be totally legitimately asking everything about this. So
love it.
We're enjoying a little Knob Creek 9 today, which was a gift from a former guest. And I'm smoking a Oliva Monticello. It's the M series. And you've got, what is that? A Rocky Patel. I think it's Bogey. I don't think it's Boogie. It's probably Bogey.
Bogey. This you could, this is perfect for golf.
Exactly. Golf themed. Mm-hmm. So I get these from, I don't know if you buy cigars a lot or have cigars a lot, but there's a company out of Philadelphia called Holtz, and they do a online subscription as well. And what I like about them, I mean, you could just, go to a cigar auction, go to your local store. Obviously, if you have a brick and mortar store, you're probably better off supporting them, but they have a brick and mortar store in Philly. But they also do an online, which I think is more successful than the store because they have so many people that do it. They have a big YouTube channel called Holt Cigars where they do different reviews and pairings and things like that. But they put together a subscription package. I want to say it's $35 a month, and they send you 4 cigars a month in a bag. It's got a Bovita pack. And then it comes with this, like, it looks like a piece of a magazine paper, like nice and glossy. And it has the cigars with the price points they would normally be at and kind of what you got it for. So like the wholesale discount.
Sweet.
And then it's got tasting notes. So you can go through and say, okay, I really liked this, Oliva M. It's this type of cigar. It's this blend. So then if you want to look for future cigars that are like that, you kind of have those tasting notes already there. So you can start to kind of build your profile. And then they'll also rate it. They have like a rating system. So it's like, oh, this is rated 70% by them. Okay, so I'm not going to like this one as much. Oh, this one's a 93% by their company. So I encourage a lot of people to do that because it's not that much a month. You get 4 cigars. You can keep up with it.
Yeah.
If you smoke, once a week. And then it's nice to have that description. Pipes, okay.
Mainly because, I'm doing a startup. And so there's okay, I need a smoke. And as a dad, I can go out, back patio, grab one of my kids, say, how's your day? have a nice conversation. It's not an hour and a half long conversation most days.
Right.
They're busy in the middle of the week, but the pipe is just, and my wife doesn't mind the smell.
The smell. Sure. It's a bit sweeter.
Yeah. And you can kind of cater to that. Oh, I like that one. Okay, I'm going to go get more of that because she's not bothered by it.
Where do you normally get your tobacco from? Online or a store?
Variety of places. I mean, kind of whatever's around when I run out. I am not by any measurement a connoisseur of any of this stuff, but I'll usually walk in and go, hey, what do you sell the most of? What do you like? Why? Kind of do an interview process. And I've just recently started getting into more of the pipe side of it. And then would do, a cigar quarterly. So I'm not like a every week type of guy, but good cigar with good friends.
Yeah.
Like makes all the difference.
Totally. Was the pipe a recent thing, or had you always smoked a pipe and just maybe you started doing it more recently, or is that like you didn't do it and like a year ago you started doing it?
No, my wife actually gave me a pipe.
Okay.
Probably a Christmas gift or something.
Okay.
Like
So she was hinting for you to get into it.
Yeah, like, hey,
you need to be a little more manly.
You need to have more vices.
Right, exactly. Here's a gift card to the ABC store.
Exactly. Yeah, she gave me my first pipe, and it lasted. Again, I would sort of mix it in here and there, and then, and that I left it on vacation, and then my second oldest son, who's a senior in high school, noticed that I didn't have it around and gave me a new one for Christmas.
Okay, very nice.
So really, just since Christmas, sort of hiatus between the summer and Christmas, and now that.
Do you know what type it is?
I could not tell you.
Okay, interesting. Are you the kind of person who would collect pipes? Or is it like, I have the one that works, maybe I have a backup one?
Yeah, I've never been a big collector of things. It's just, but if somebody's gonna, like, it's meaningful because Liam gave it to me, or Elena gave it to me. Okay, great.
Okay.
And so I'm maybe sentimental in that way.
Okay. But. Very cool. There's a guy I know, I've never met him in person, but he was on the podcast a year ago, and he owns a place called the Catholic Pipe Company.
Oh, cool.
Out in, I think it's Hebron, Nebraska. And he quit his full-time job and just makes pipes and like leather bags and all kinds of stuff, but it's mostly geared around smoking, lighters, things like that, cutters. But he does really, I can show you some pictures later, but he does really high-end hand finished stuff. And it's not just like, there's like a little imprint of a face. Like he'll have like a full lion with a mane, but it's like, it's kind of a weird thing. It rides the line between like being over the top, but not practical and just boring. And he kind of finds that middle space where it's like, it's still really practical. It fits in your pocket. It's not like this massive, like 2x4 you're smoking, but it looks really cool. Like very handmade, very intentional. And they're not super expensive. Like maybe $200 for like his most expensive one.
But it's nice enough that you like you give it to your kid at some point.
And they do all kinds of. You can send special requests. So like picture, a date, like a wedding day, that type of thing. And then he also has a big stock of things where kind of his popular pipes. So he's got JP2 pipes, he's got Versati pipes, he's got Bible verses. I think he's working on a Gollum pipe like from Lord of the Rings. Just cool stuff that like people who collect pipes or are looking for a good gift can take advantage of. So
beautiful.
Yeah, he's got a good little business going. We're hoping for upstairs to get him to start giving us a discount so people can like kind of custom order pipes and send them here. So
sweet.
Very cool. Yeah. Pipe tobacco pipes. I would like to get into it more. I think what I need to do is I need to find time. Maybe I should have done it today if I knew you were into pipes, but I need to find a time to smoke one with someone else who's also smoking a pipe, because a lot of times it's like you're with people who are smoking cigarettes or they're smoking cigars, and you light a cigar, and unless you leave it for a long time, it just stays lit.
Yep.
Whereas with a pipe, until you master it, I just find myself relighting.
Yep.
And then I get frustrated, especially on the podcast setting, because A, the noise, and B, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm so invested in trying to keep this lit. So was that a little bit of a hurdle for you?
It's sort of, if you're too hasty, you get it wrong. Mm-hmm. And so it forces you to slow down, which I think a good cigar does as well.
I would agree.
I also make paella you can't do a paella fast.
Yes.
So it's a forced slowdown that is actually to the benefit of the family. Great. Everybody needs dad to slow down.
Yeah.
So, these habits actually, I think, done with that in mind, I think can be really impactful.
Yeah, intentionally. Yeah, that's fascinating. Let's get into talking about your app a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we can always circle back or go down rabbit holes as we see fit. So Whoovia.
Yep.
Let's talk about the name. Why is it Whoovia?
So what you'll find out if you ever try to name something in a crowded space is that the USPTO likes you to make up names and not use names that could be confused for other things.
Right.
So we had a series of other names that we thought we would have right out of the gates.
Like Willow for Zillow. Or like...
Exactly. Well, Zillow is a great example because they actually stole that name from, and I have it on very strong authority that that's from a Dr. Seuss book.
Really?
Yeah.
Which Dr. Seuss book?
There's a Zillow in My Pillow.
Oh.
It's
No kidding.
It's one of these
made up names
that had to rhyme, and and I spoke to a guy who was at Zillow at the time, and he's like, yeah, they've made up this other lore around why, but that's actually not right. We
should be paying dividends to
so
Seuss
Dr.
Foundation.
Seuss, you heard it first here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So made up names. And so you want it to be something that that works. So we list who's, not what's.
Okay. Because you're listing people, not
People,
houses.
not what.
Yep.
Not houses. And then via, path in Latin. I'm classically educated, so what the heck, you go with that. And then, you kind of play with that. And, we submitted a bunch of stuff to our attorneys and said, hey, what's going to pass and not get us sued? Oftentimes how to get that name. So we've got it.
Okay.
And, so
And
Whoovia
is the owl the icon? Is that right?
And what's interesting is once we put the owl next to the word, everybody said it correctly.
What were they saying before?
Whoovia, or what's an owl say?
Who? Yeah. Right. Okay. And was that you guys foreseeing people are going to mispronounce this?
No,
so
because they were mispronouncing it.
Oh, okay. So it was a reaction to people mispronouncing it.
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Okay.
So it was kind of a fun, how can we really make this explicit, right?
Right.
2 O's in the middle also are like owl eyes. It's kind of, you play around with it.
Yeah.
But it needs to be something memorable, something easily, people can easily type. Familiar enough, but not so familiar that it gets you in trouble with, existing companies or whatever it is. So,
right.
Naming a company took entirely too long, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
It's easier if you just name it after yourself.
Just your first name, last name, LLC?
Yeah, think about how many companies are just named after the founders. Right. So.
Now, are you the only founder? Officially?
No,
okay, so you're the sole owner, and then you have...
I am the solo founder, and it's been a great journey.
How long has this been in the process?
There's a couple ways to answer that. I've been in real estate, as you mentioned, for over 20 years. And so in many ways, the solution that we are coming up with on a technical level has been something I've been working on for years in our real estate practice.
Okay.
We raised our first dollars about 2 years ago and hired my first engineer, got to work prototyping, bringing that to real estate agents, bringing it to homeowners, and then test, iterate. You're constantly, you're never done building when it comes to technology and software. So we've now done that phase. We're coming out of beta, and now it's time to really launch on a larger scale. So we've watched agents and homeowners engage on it, and it's a lot of fun to see come to life.
So Zillow in reverse, that's kind of I don't know if that's the official tagline or just the easiest description of it.
Yeah, it's just what people know, right? So, when you think of Zillow, you think, well, I go there to search houses. Mm-hmm. What would the reverse be? I go there to search people. So I'm a homeowner looking for buyers for my house. Where do you go? Right now, the only way to get access to those buyers is to go through the marketplace that is governed by multiple listing services and such, right?
Yep.
And which you find as a consumer on Zillow or Redfin or whatever else. And so the real task is, okay, well, how do we give access to demand for houses in advance of what it currently is? If you think about it, most great marketplace disruptions have happened as a result of somebody basically moving upstream and saying, listen, there's a more efficient way to do this. And you have to deeply understand the industry that you're doing that within. And so that's been what we did. We said, this came from us working with clients and saying, gosh, this family needs to be in that neighborhood. And they would have to compromise pretty big to buy what's currently listed on the market, or there's nothing on the market at all. How do we find that? Historically, we can see there's going to be, over the next 12 months, there's going to be 8 houses that'll probably match their criteria, but they're not on the MLS right now. Okay, so we have an obligation as their real estate agent to find them the best possible house because they're making a massive financial decision. So how do we do that? And one of the things that we began doing early on, and the commercial real estate world does this all the time. I have somebody who wants to buy commercial property. The landlords are not easily found online. In particular,
they're not officially listing it.
Listing it, but at the right number, they'd be open to a conversation. So what do you do on the commercial side? You create what's called a letter of intent, an LOI. And you take that and you give great detail about why this would not be a waste of time for the owner to engage in. And so we started applying that same philosophy to the residential side and saying, what if we said, here's the exact specs we're looking for. Here's the area. Here's our timeline. Here's our cash position. Here's what our lender is saying about the homework that they've done. Here's a letter that really maps out why this wouldn't be a waste of your time. If you're thinking about selling anytime in the next 12 months, we'd love to have a conversation. And the homeowner would say, well, what's the cost of me? What's the risk to having the conversation? Well, the answer is zero. There's no risk. There's no obligation. And so we would end up surfacing a lot of people who were thinking about selling their house who weren't on the market yet. If you think about it, most people, and we learned this from many, many transactions, most people who, when we would go to list and sell their house, they had been thinking about selling their house for the better part of a year before they even raised their hand and reached out to us. And so we know that this demand, this desire to sell exists, but it's hidden because there's no discrete way to get access to that demand or that supply of homes. And so what we've done is said, okay, well, can we map out where intention to sell can meet with intention to purchase? And that's the beauty of doing something like this.
So how does it cost anything to get onto the app? Is there a subscription? Is it upon
for consumers totally
completion?
Free? Yep.
Okay.
Consumer gets on totally free. Can search buyers.
Okay. So who are you charging? Who has to pay to be on there?
Real estate agents are subscribers. They subscribe in order to represent their clients in a new way that they couldn't prior.
Interesting. So you're actually giving a leg up to those real estate agents. 100%. You're not, because originally when you started talking, I thought, oh, is this cutting out real estate agents because anyone could go on here and list their property? They don't need a listing agent. But it sounds like that's not the case. Yeah.
So sellers can find us regardless of what stage they're in. They could be listed. They could be unlisted.
Okay.
They could have spoken to a real estate agent or not. As agents, one of the key performance indicators, KPIs for a real estate agent, is how many homeowners am I in touch with who I know want to sell at some point. Because if I can add enough value to them, they're likely to become my client. But they could also tell me about potential opportunities that I wouldn't know about otherwise. Hey, the neighbor down the street is looking to move. Hey, we're looking to move. We'd like to do something off market. If you can bring us a buyer, we're willing to work out some deal. And this is how it works on the commercial side all the time. We get used to sort of a set way in which deals are done on the residential side. Listen, it's listed in there. They're compensating the real estate agents on either side. We generally know what percentage that looks like. And so we take it as a given that this is just how it works. The reality is great agents have always figured out how to do deals, whether they were surfacing on the MLS or not. And that's what's made them great fiduciaries, be able to take care of clients in unique ways. And it's something that I think is duly needed in the real estate world. If you think about how the real estate marketplace actually is constructed, it's a centrally governed system. It is not an entirely free market. Why is that? Well, because there's high incentives to make sure that brokerages can monetize a lot of hobbyists who happen to have their real estate license, right? So how do you do that? Well, you give an easy way for them to get paid. The more that you ask a hobbyist to defend their value, the less money the brokerage is going to make. So you create this system that says, listen, everybody's going to come through this portal. It's going to be this way. Buyer agents, you're paid this way. Listing agents, you're paid this way. And that's actually not how free markets work. What would that look like? It would look like great agents being able to offer a curated experience to their clients, right? And we pay extra for those types of experiences, or we pay well for those types of experiences.
What do you mean by curated experience?
So think about if you came to me and said, hey, I want to live in that neighborhood over there. And you go, well, great. And you go, well, I found these homes online. Fantastic. Would it be valuable for me to put you in touch with owners that you don't yet know about? Yes, 100%. Okay, that's a very curated experience.
Okay.
And right, it's really access to data, right? It's the data of who's going to be moving at some point in the future. And I would ask you, listen, if we got in touch with these people who haven't yet moved grandma's stuff out of the attic for you, would you be willing to wait 180 days, maybe even longer? And you go, well, for the right house? Yeah, I mean, this is where I want to live for the next 20 plus years. Great. And that's the case with most folks. They want to buy. Real estate works really well in the long term. So if the horizon on how long you want to own this property is many years, then sure, if it's the right house, I'm willing to wait for a little while. And so every deal we ever did off market, or pre-market, if you will, was in that fashion. And we've just digitized it. And what now we're saying is, listen, instead of just you as a homeowner getting access to a one-off that I'm introducing you to, you can privately go on to the site and see not just one, but maybe 4 or 5 or 6 people that could potentially buy your house. And you can discreetly decide who you want to engage with directly.
And how is that set up? Is that just vetting the profile essentially? There's a bio you read, you schedule a call with them, you kind of feel them out, like...
Yeah, the agent. So the agent.
We want this kind of a person in our house. We want a young family. We want to,
Yeah. So as it turns out, real estate agents are really good at selling their buyers. By saying, hey, think about a competitive situation. You're putting an offer as 20 offers. We have to really show off why this buyer has the bona fides to go the distance and go to settlement. There's certain things you can't say because of fair housing law.
Okay.
So you can't say, hey, it's this type of family or that type. You can't say that because that gets you in realtor prison or whatever, right? But
are you talking like diversity, lifestyle, that type of thing, or
yes? Imagine anything that you could say that would designate the person.
Anything that would get this podcast taken down.
Okay. So you can't say certain things, but ultimately, most deals are done because somebody can financially make the deal happen, because their timeline matches, because they're willing to be reasonable on contingencies. And so those are the things you're going to lead with. Oh, and by the way, it's a great match for us, right? And you can indicate, hey, this is a great match, and
here's why.
And here's why.
Yeah. Okay.
And so when you're going to write a really great cover letter to that person selling the house, and pass it through, whether they're using an agent or not, you're going to make a really, really great statement about why it is worth it for them to give you a call back, right? And so you always want the call back, and sort of the art of negotiation, right? Like the goal is to keep the ball in the air and keep people engaged with you. So imagine now that competitive situation just front loaded, and you put it online and say, listen, all these people, if you were thinking about going on the market, these people would be open to a conversation with you. Are you interested in a conversation with them? Here's what we can tell you about them legally. And there's a lot you can tell them. You can sort by those things. You can filter by those things. And if you feel comfortable, you can send them a message and say, hey, real estate agent Tom, who's listed this buyer, I've got a house that I think might be a match for your buyer. And that's really the structure.
Okay. Is this all geared towards residential specifically, or are you hoping to be able to have commercial and residential?
I think we need to tackle one thing at a time.
Okay.
As a startup. So
sure.
Yeah, we're doing the residential sales. So not even, so this is residential, not lot and land yet. So we are our goal is to bring this to top residential real estate agents in your major cities.
Okay.
The velocity of purchases is high enough that actually mathematically makes sense to go after that portion of the marketplace. Once you have that marketplace established, there's no reason why you couldn't add on residential rentals, commercial, other things as well.
Okay.
But from a business case perspective,
it's too much to tackle all of it.
Not only is it too much, but I think, and could it be a distraction? Yes. But also, there's probably not enough velocity of other types of transactions to create, what would technically be called a network effect. You need a network, a dense enough network in order to make this really, really interesting.
Okay.
And so, but there are plenty of residential sales that go on
right.
an annual basis in most metropolitan areas. So that's why we're tackling that first.
Okay. Are there other companies out there that are doing something similar? If not, is there a reason why they're not doing it? And if so, what's your plan to outpitch them, outsmart them, out-compete? Like if there's a few other companies that are doing similar things, why should I use your company or invest in your company if there's other people that are doing it bigger or better? And if not, maybe is there a reason that they're not doing that? Is this a bad idea?
Well, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I don't think either. Yeah. This is just for the devil's advocate.
I love it. These are great questions too. So it's funny. I was just telling my little brother who does the books for both of my companies.
Okay.
And on the way out here, I had a call from a guy who called me up and he said, where did you get the idea for this? He was pissed. And I said, I'll tell you.
The Lord. Yeah.
God gave it to me. I'll tell you. And I told him the story of how we had done this for clients. We'd been working in this industry for X number of years. And he said, gosh, I had this idea 5 years ago and I went and told so-and-so and so-and-so. And it just kills me. I mean, and I said, here's what I know. I have now been doing this long enough to know that while this is a good idea, we're not the only ones to ever have it. Really smart people who have been in our industry, like you and like me, have had this idea multiple times over.
Sure.
There's a few companies that have started out and failed. And I've actually had calls with those founders.
Really?
They called me to tell me, hey, one of the guys called me and said, hey, this is a great idea. Here's where I failed. I thought that I could change the behavior of buyers and cut out real estate agents. And I fell on my face. Because buyers
trust?
Because buyers, ultimately, anytime you're trying to change the behavior of somebody in an established marketplace, that's a hard thing. Mm-hmm. It's a really hard thing. And so buyers were not willing to, they don't know how to pitch themselves. Real estate agents, good real estate agents know how to pitch buyers. Not all real estate agents know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm actually purposely designed a marketplace that favors really, really great fiduciaries.
How does it do that?
So if you don't have buyers to list on this platform, you're an agent that doesn't do enough business, there's no way for you to take advantage of this.
So you have to reach certain requirements to even get on there as an agent?
Yeah. I could give you this, but if you don't have a pipeline of buyers and you don't know how to advocate for them, it's a meritocracy. And I think that's how good free markets work.
Sure.
Right? Like, hey, let's.
And is that an algorithm deciding that? Like you need to show X amount of sales, X amount of clients, X amount of Google reviews, then you're allowed on? Or is it you can come on, you're just not going to be successful if you don't have those things? So great, keep paying the subscription.
You can pay, exactly.
But you're not going to make any money or be able to use this to your advantage if you're not actually good at your job and you're just doing this as a side hobby to have like a beach house somewhere and be a real estate agent.
The latter.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And again, like I want to be out of the business of policing people, and I want to be in the business of creating a marketplace where the cream rises to the top.
And they get paid well.
And get paid really well, and benefit the people that leverage it at the highest level, right? So in many ways, we are partnering with real estate agents, allowing them to opt in by showing their excellence, their expertise, and they can leverage that in any number of conversations. And great agents do that every day. We're already seeing that even in beta.
Okay.
And so, and then I'll talk to a room with real estate agents, and you can see people who kind of give you a blank stare because they don't know the first thing about how they would advocate for their buyer off market. Okay, we are not the platform for them. And frankly, I think knowing who your target is in building anything is always going to be the really important thing of any business. So we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but does that
yeah, it
make
does.
sense?
One more thing, and then we can get back to the structure of the business. You were talking about, you just said, you'll pitch a group of real estate agents and there's people that don't know what you're talking about because they don't know the first thing about being a good representative to their buyers. What are some key indications or maybe practical applications that real estate agents would have or would do if they were? Like what's a...
Yeah, well, I mean...
They're convincing? They'd be good in court? Like what's the secret sauce?
Well, if you're manually doing this like I was prior to my app showing up, you get it immediately. Like when you're the type of agent that's already fighting to try to find every piece of data in your local area to advocate for your buyers and your sellers, and you're not relying simply on the same data set that anybody who can fog a mirror and get their real estate license can rely on, okay, you're going to get this much more easily, right? Those agents, and if you've done deals where, you knock on a neighbor's door and you say, hey, heard it through grapevine that you might be thinking about selling at some point. I have somebody who'd love to buy your house. Would you be open to that conversation? If you haven't done that, then this is a much more foreign conversation.
That's so interesting because it's like, I would guarantee, I don't know the percentage, but probably upwards of 70% of real estate agents have never done that. And maybe they're a good real estate agent in different ways, but I think that is really showing someone going above and beyond. Like, hey, I have a client that wants to live in this neighborhood so badly because their grandmother lives down the road, because it's close to their church, because it's close to the kid's school.
Right.
You're in your 80s. Are you open to a deal? Are you open to them buying the house and you can live here until you die and they'll just pay for the house until then? Is like, what can we do? It doesn't
Don't
sound
you want
like
that person advocating?
Right.
That's the type of person.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big believer that great marketplaces allow those people to stand out. And our current marketplace does a lousy job at allowing those people to stand out. And so, if I'm going to build a new marketplace where real estate can be elevated, and I believe that really great fiduciaries are going to be a part of that long term, right? There's a lot of people, oh no, real estate agents will be completely obsolete because AI is going to take everybody's job. You say that if you've never done a deal off market.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. It's the same thing that people say that AI is going to replace podcasts. You're like, no, there's going to be AI podcasts, but guess what's going to be more demanded and more popular,
more authentic,
is the real stuff. Stand-up comedy, live music.
Yeah, because there's risk.
Right.
Yeah, and you want to see, you want to be counseled through that risk on a real estate transaction. You want to see that, and this is how. Well, we could go into so many tangents on why human communication is always going to be so valuable as long as it's substantial. So, for us, as just understanding where you're coming from and some of your audience, I mean, to me, in business and life, you only get to take so many shots. And, our social teaching as a church is really big on dignity of work. And that dignity of work necessitates that free market dynamics, well, it works better when there's free market dynamics generally, right? And it works poorly when operators within a marketplace are restricted from being able to really be great fiduciaries, right? So, you can think of another service industry. Think of financial advisory. Okay. Charles Schwab comes in, really does a number on that industry, right? Everybody who was a commodity player really doesn't have a job anymore, right? Because all you were doing was pushing stocks and trying to sell me on something instead of being a great fiduciary. However, it didn't eliminate really, really excellent financial advisors. Why? Because the opportunity cost, the risk of not having that person on your side was just too high to not engage with them, right? This is our nest egg. This is, our family depends on this long term. We're going to play this part of our portfolio really safe. We may even take some risks and trade on our own over here, right? Or I may go get the education myself so that I can bring down that risk. But the risk is on average too high. And so do people still have financial advisors? Yes. And is there a commoditized side of the market that's relatively automated and going to become even more so? Absolutely. And that's, to my mind, a really great example of how great free market dynamics influence an industry that needs some moving forward when it comes to the way in which the consumer has opportunity to elect. The problem with ours is the consumer really doesn't have an election. There's really no way for them to opt out of a real estate deal. 90% of the deals that happen in the U.S. happen mediated through the MLS. And that's an anomaly in most other countries.
So are people able to use this platform? It sounds like obviously you're not trying to sidestep agents. They can be involved. Is there space though for people who say, "Hey, I've got a house, I've got some property, it needs some work. I've had some estimates, so I kind of know what the work it needs. I'm not in a financial position to do the work, but I am interested in selling because if I can liquidate this and get a smaller house in town, or I want to, downsize or whatever the case may be, I'm interested in that. And if I can do it without an agent and just I kind of post this listing, I don't know what that listing looks like per se, but post the listing. I have maybe a neighbor walks up and says, "Hey, this touches my property. I'd love to buy this house for whatever. Let's just do a deal right now, like direct sale."
100%. Yep.
That'll allow for this.
It'll allow for that.
Okay, and that's free for both parties.
Free for both parties. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
So how are you making money on those transactions?
So just to clarify a little bit, it is free for that homeowner to interact on the site.
Okay.
So that homeowner can go take a look at the buyers, engage individually with any of those buyers, mediated through the agent.
Okay.
The way that we know that the buyer is real at scale and that somebody doesn't put up a false picture of themselves and they go break into grandma's house and destroy the integrity of the entire platform is that we have agents who have a stake in actually representing truthfully who people are, right?
Okay.
These people, because they're good at what they do, the risk to them of putting a lousy buyer out there is reputationally really damaging, right? You don't have good agents putting houses on the market that would hurt their reputation.
Right.
And so similarly, what we've found is that agents are really highly incentivized to represent their folks well, to respond really quickly when a homeowner reaches out. And so, yes, that homeowner there's no necessity for that homeowner to have a real estate agent in order to do that. We do not have a side of the market. We list demand for homes, not supply of homes. There's great systems to be able to do that. There's all sorts of regulatory stuff around that side of the marketplace as well. What we are tackling to take it down another chunk is like we're tackling the demand side, which in the history of real estate has never been done at scale. There's been people who have taken shots at it. I've talked to some of those people. We have some folks in other markets who have a similar thesis.
Okay.
They're approaching it slightly differently. And God bless them. I think they're missing the mark on it, but this is, as I mentioned earlier, we're not the first people to think about listing the opportunity to deal with somebody who wants to buy a house.
Yeah.
What we are doing is creating networks of those people in very purposeful ways. Because you can imagine if I'm a homeowner and instead of, I go onto a site and I can see 5 people today, and I know that my neighbor took 6 months to sell. I'm like, well, gosh, I want to check out these people first, right? Because I don't want to languish on the market. I don't want all those people coming through my house, at odd hours or whatever it is, right? Whatever the pain point is for them. And so we're just as we get into the market, we're just a secondary marketplace that allows great professionals to do what they do really, really well. And that allows freedom for homeowners to have another option in terms of access to buyers. Because right now, it's a pay-to-play, walled garden.
Yep.
You have to do this in order to get exposure to buyers.
Yep.
Otherwise, you don't know about them.
Right. So what are some of the more 5, 10, 20-year plans with this? You mentioned doing this with commercial properties, with land. With this platform, maybe it's a different version of the platform, I don't know, but would this also potentially become something where you could have people that are like listing a rental or listing, hey, we're open to be an Airbnb if we get the right price, that kind of thing?
Yep.
Are there avenues for that, or do you want to keep it pretty specific for people looking to sell?
I think there's a lot of things that are, if you had asked Uber if they were going to have Uber Eats when they were first starting,
right,
you go like, that's a neat idea, but we'll let you know, right?
Yeah.
That'll probably take our eye off the ball. So I don't, are any of those things a possibility? Once you have eyeballs and you're trusted at scale, there's all sorts of ways to monetize a platform like that. Mortgage, title, referrals to people who are doing home improvements, all sorts of ways to monetize. There's all sorts of, frankly, once you can map out intent to purchase or sell, you can get outside of the U.S. as well.
Okay. And right now, this is just US market.
This is U.S. market. We're launching in D.C. Like we're one market right now. So yeah, are all those things possible? Sure. And I think you go, anytime you're building a business, you want to react to, you have an obligation to your investors. You have an obligation to the people that are working, giving up other opportunities to work for you. You have an obligation to go and make the best prudential decisions about what's going to allow this company to have the biggest long-term impact on those people and their families, as well as I think the marketplace in general. So if our goal is ultimately to create a marketplace for residential real estate to be traded in a way that is much more efficient, because that is better for the consumer and it's better for the worker, if you will, then we want to run as hard as we possibly can at that. And we're totally open to the providential, beautiful things that happen along the way that we can't even imagine. Sure. The relationships with other great companies that'll happen only at scale. You can partner with and whatnot. Right. And so, there's another way to think about it potentially is we will have different opportunities based on who's willing to, one, trust us and then bet on us long term as well. And I think of, you can look at a lot of different interesting partnerships that could have never happened without scale.
Sure. Okay. So in terms of what you're trying to raise, I assume you have a dollar amount in mind. If you don't, or you don't want to say it, that's fine. But the part of the pitch night that you're doing, and it sounds like you've been raising money for a while. Are you waiting until you get to a certain point to like kind of officially launched to open the app? Is there already an app? You said you're in beta mode, so it sounds like there is some level of access that people have, but maybe it's not as full or as fully developed as the plan is. So what does that all look like? How much are you trying to raise? What's the timeline, et cetera?
Love it. You should totally be on the panel, by the way.
On the panel?
These are great questions.
As the judge, I'd be way more harsh. There wouldn't be any cigars.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'd be like, so why not a full beard? That's really the question. I like the gray, but
I appreciate that. So the way I like to think about it, we've raised over 1.1 incrementally. Friends and family. I'm very blessed with lots of good people who have trusted me over the years because of the business that I've been in for a long time. So past clients, friends, family, people in the business who I know who have said, you know what, this not only do I think is a great idea, but I think you're the guy to go pull it off. Okay. Which is incredibly humbling and just a beautiful thing, right? Testament, yeah. Because they're betting on you and an idea at the earliest of stages. With that, we've taken it and said, okay, we've now brought it to 135 real estate agents in the DC metro area. They've listed now over 500 buyers over the course of about 14 months. Okay. That has allowed us to test and iterate and do a whole bunch of things. We've now launched team features because that was demanded by them.
What's team features?
So it allows not just a real estate agent, but an entire team of real estate agents who collaborate together within the same brokerage or within the same team to be part of it.
To share properties, to share contact info, et cetera.
Opportunities. Hey, we have a buyer, they're looking together. Hey, and we work, a lot of real estate organizations at scale have multiple people who are helping the buyer, not just one person helping the buyer. We've allowed their administrative staff to come on. We heard them loud and clear, and we're applying AI so that people can they're busy real estate agents. They're on the road. They hit a traffic light and they say, "Hey, ChatGPT, I've got a new buyer. I want to go ahead and put him on Whoovia," and they can take that unstructured conversational data and create a buyer profile for them immediately.
Interesting.
So all of these things, sort of realizing, okay, here are the pressures on real estate agents, and in order to get their buyer data, we have to actually work with them in order to make that happen. Okay. So over the last 14 months or so of agents coming on board incrementally, me releasing it, one relationship at a time, we now have a substantial test group that has brought us out of beta, and now we're going into full launch mode. So the call from Artifacts was really, really opportune because we are now raising a $4 million round to bring us to our first six markets. This is
four additionally?
Four
so
additionally.
You have 1.25.
Yep.
Now you're doing 4.
Yep.
Do you foresee a future fundraising, or do you think that with the 5.25 that'll be enough to cover everything?
Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, the way that these companies usually have to scale in order to outrun competition is go really fast and keep spending faster. Now, there's a path to profitability that's actually really quite nice because we've got a great lean team. We're leveraging AI like crazy to develop and code, right? So whereas 10 years ago, you'd have many more engineers in order to build what we're building. We can do that super efficiently. We can have people working in different parts of the world in order to make this happen. So our cost of talent is different. So all of that leads to a much more efficient, much more early profitability than you would otherwise have in order to build something like this. Okay. So really amazing time to be building software as well.
So you're the owner. It's just you.
Right.
How many other people are involved in this project, either full-time or part-time?
Yep. We have 4 full-time people, including myself.
Okay.
CTO, Jason, he's awesome. Actually referred to me by one of our first investors, good friend Greg, who's technical, and one of the most brilliant technical people I know. I brought him the idea initially. I said, I'm a non-technical founder. We've been doing this for years manually. What would this look like if you were going to program it? And so we sat down and he said, by the way, if you're looking for talent, you got to talk to Jason.
Oh, okay.
And he's worked with Jason for years, and so Jason's lived up to the hype and has been awesome. A great number two to me as we've grown. So our founding CTO, he's been with us for the whole time, architected a beautiful system. And then we got John Karanja. He's actually in Kenya. He's a contractor, but he's been with us for 18 months and is phenomenal. Outran every other contractor that we even took a look at in terms of speed, in terms of just love of the project. He's great. So John's been phenomenal. And Vicky is was with me in my prior firm, in the firm that it still exists, that my business partner runs, called Kilner and Kirk, and she has.
This is a real estate company.
Real estate company,
Okay.
yeah, real estate team, and saw this idea in its manual phase for years, and then I said, "Hey, can I steal you? Come on board. This is riskier, but hey, I'd love to have you." And she took the leap, so she's
Very cool.
awesome as well.
Okay.
So very lean team, and just a great group of people who own their roles really well. None of us do each other's jobs better than the other, which is great. Sort of deep expertise in each of those fields. And I was talking to one of our investors today, one of our more recent investors, and I'm just really excited to be able to say to them, listen, now what we're doing now that we've tested this, is now we're building the runway to allow us to go fast. Because we've been going purposely slow and testing and making sure we have something structurally ready to build. So most apps, you're building a foundation early so that you can, it looks like, that's going to be a nice house over there. And actually it's going to be a high rise. And so you really have to put deep roots into the ground, and to do it right at a national level, you owe it to the people, who are betting on you early, users, consumers, and investors, to do that right.
Now, so far what you've been talking about is people who own a house. Presumably they're living in it, but maybe it's an asset, they're renting it. Is there also space for builders to use this, where they say, hey, we're going to invest in this 25-acre plot because it's pretty close to town, and there's a Walmart nearby, and there's a dump nearby, and there's a good school. This, builder company or investment company, we're going to build 25 homes here with, a couple acre lots or acre lots. We'd like to list on here because there's people in the area we know want to buy here. We're going to basically do the same thing, but these are brand new houses. These aren't lived in. Does that work in your system, or is that kind of a different application?
Well, think about they're homeowners searching for buyers, right, on our system. So they are, and I know it's a paradigm shift. They're never listed. There will be a world where, hey, we got a lot of buyers on here, and so we'll have advertisement opportunities for builders and this sort of thing. Where I think it gets really interesting for builders and developers is when you can look at a plot of land, and before you tie up that piece of land, you can know what demand for the type of spec house that you might be looking at.
Yes,
okay, so that changes entirely how you're able to assess the value of that land and what you're willing to pay for it.
Because if you have a buyer who says, I'm willing to drop $1 million on a house with a pond and these amenities, then great. You can
Let's
just
have
build it.
How long are you willing to wait? Or you have 10 buyers that are willing to do that. Okay, now we have a market of those people.
Yeah.
What are we willing to pay for the land in order to do that?
Interesting.
So, everything's possible there.
Okay. And does this open up other avenues to, you mentioned having like preferred contractors, vendors, maybe photographers to list the properties. Do you guys plan on having either listings available or opportunities for people to do that? If you've got like a real estate photographer who's like, hey, I'll come and take photos of these properties for a payment, and then maybe a percentage if it sells, is that going to be something you guys offer, or is that going to be
great?
on
I love the idea.
Person listing?
I don't know that there's a huge upside on saying, hey, we're going to have a marketplace for real estate photographers, right? Like there's only so many of them. But I think what is interesting is, all of these property owners. Here's how it works. You own a property, you come in and claim your property.
Right.
And then you individually reach out to people about this property. Hey, I've got a piece of property. Do you want to come see it? Great. And so well, tell me more about it. Here's some photos. Tell me more about it. Here's a really great description. It's not publicly listed,
Right.
but I'm privately telling you about it, one-to-one. And so, yeah, we actually have the opportunity for homeowners to upload photos currently about their property.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, whether they're, to your point,
Sure.
it's an investment property
Right.
or whatever.
And I don't know if it'd be profitable for you guys, but it seems like if there was a tab for the people who are listing a home to say upload photos or request photographer, you click on that and then all these photographers pop up that are preferred vendors.
Totally.
Great. You
love
pop them in. Oh, hey, we know there's foundation cracks. We know this company, they're a preferred foundation company. We're going to pay, they're going to come do a free estimate. We're going to upload their estimate for repairs. So the person who's coming to look at this property understands what they're getting into. I don't have to lie and say, oh yeah, there might be some cracks, but whatever. It's like, no, full transparency. This is a valuable piece of property, but this work does need done.
Yeah.
And then we can negotiate whether I'm paying for it, whether you're paying for it, whatever. But it seems like there'd be photographers or, contractors who'd be willing to either pay to be a preferred vendor, or at least you say, hey, if they pick you, we pay you X amount.
Totally.
Yeah.
Again,
I don't know if that's profitable for you. I'm just thinking the entrepreneurial side of me is like, how does a roofer get involved? How does a foundation expert, how does a photographer, driveway person, whatever it is, if someone shows up and says, I would buy this house for the price you're kind of estimating, but X, Y, and Z needs done, how much is that going to cost?
Yeah.
If the buyer or the seller said, I actually already have these numbers, that could be a big bonus for,
Absolutely.
for
and I think
expediting the sale.
What's kind of beautiful about you have different personas on the app, right? You have homeowners that are going to want to know about things like what you just talked about. You have buyers who want to know about loans, mortgages. You have agents who may want a variety of different services, right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, it opens up not only the ability to be very targeted and discreet in the ads. One of the things that I can't stand is being on a website and they're hitting me with ads that are just in the way. And it's completely annoying.
Right.
And it actually makes me lose trust in the app. So as we think about the app, it's not monetization at all costs. Like, go build a valuable enough marketplace with enough trust, and then people will take your recommendation. And here's the reality. 8 years from now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, is everybody going to be on screens more or less? Are they going to be on apps more or less? Our belief, and as we talk to a lot of people who are sort of technical experts in the field, is that most people there will be a decline in the number of hours that people are in front of screens, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, 100%.
And our interaction with computers will be less on screens and probably more through LLMs or, AI devices that are speaking to us, that are more conversational, right?
Okay.
And that are actually much more on the go with us as well. And so the question is, okay, right now, today, this is what people are used to, how people are used to interacting with a, quote, app. But that's a historically very new thing. And there's no reason why they're going to be staring at screens in the same way that they are currently,
right.
3 or 5 years from now. And so this is one of the big pushes for us to build our AI layer. Really, if you think about, what LLM do you typically use?
I mean, I don't really use it that much, but ChatGPT would be the main one.
So, and that's usually the case, limited. Right? It is limited. We've heard a lot of people moving over to Claude, Anthropic. There's a lot of people on Gemini. Who's going to win that race? There's probably not going to be 4 winners. Right. There's going to be 1 or 2 who really pull away over the next X number of years. And what they will have proven is that they can engage people in this new format. And part of the reason why we've seen such incredible adoption of these is because of the ease of adoption. I mean, we've literally never seen anything like it in terms of adoption rates in the technical fields. And so seeing where the puck is going and developing for that is a big part of that. What's advertising going to look like in that world where you're not looking at a screen necessarily? Right. How are you going to know to trust that advertising?
Totally.
So
is it AI?
Is it AI?
Yeah.
Right.
Is it a real person reading it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's all of these really interesting questions. It's like, okay, the train is leaving the station. It's moving slow enough for companies to get on board. But by many accounts, 18 months from now, it's going to be table stakes to be AI native as an application that wants to engage with human beings, just because of the way adoption is going. So that it also makes it really interesting. We've tested the thesis, but when you're building software, you're trying to, in today's world or 2 years ago, you're trying to figure out what's the most intuitive next place to click on this screen. That's going away. Like that is most likely not going to be the main concern. UX, UI, sort of you're going to be leveraging the UI that exists within these, if you will, portals that are sort of our AI assistants, mediated through devices. Some, whether they're mobile phones or our computer or another physical device that we're carrying around in some way, or our glasses or whatever it is, right? So it's a fascinating time to be thinking about that as well, because it's moving so fast. And as a startup, we have an advantage because we don't have entrenched ways in which we get paid now. So we can say, well, where's it going? The big guys, they're going to lose money in the short term because their legacy platform demands that people interact with them in a very specific way. So it's a really fascinating time to be thinking about these things as well.
Yeah. So how are you guys primarily getting paid by the agents who are subscribing / you make a percentage for every sale? Is there a contingency? Like, how does that work? How are you guys making money beyond just investors?
Yeah. So agents pay us a subscription fee.
Okay.
And then sort of, if you think about it, once you have the network, you have the marketplace, then, okay, now ad revenue. Now past that, JVs, owning the companies that are also ancillary services on here, and or referral arrangements with them. So there's all sorts of ways in which once you have the marketplace built, you can do that. Right. But the principal way is, in the short term, there's a lot of people who have the real estate license. A smaller percentage of them are a match for us. That's fine. We can scale really, really quickly with a very small percentage of really great real estate agents in every major metro that we go to.
Okay.
So you don't need, let's say in the DC metro area, there's 30,000 people with their real estate license. We need 500 of them. Really rocking,
right.
and really dialed into what we're doing. They get an quote unfair advantage against their competition, which makes them want to stay on it longer, reduces your churn of those people, and allows you to tell a great story when you go to Philly and to Chicago,
right,
and New York.
Okay.
And so for us, first model is great partnership with great people, right? In some ways, the other way to think about it is like, who's our talent? Our talent is our great real estate agents, and we get to decide who we get into business with.
Okay.
So right now it's invitation only, exclusive, come on board. In the future, unless you can play at their level, you're not going to be able to really do this. So you can try, you can pay us, but the consumer is going to see who's got the real opportunities and who doesn't as well.
Okay.
So that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. What do you and your team see as the most profitable? I'm assuming the residential market that you're tapping into is probably the most financially, applicable, like that otherwise you wouldn't be going for that market.
Right.
Do you see that there's other areas that, okay, in 5 years, if this all goes well, we're going to do this next? Because you've talked about how, like, we don't want to get distracted. We don't want to, but it does seem like there are other ways you could maximize this, whether it's a new app for, it's Whoovia, but it's commercial. There's Whoovia, but it's Airbnb. Like,
probably,
I'm sure you've thought about some of this.
Probably well, if you look at what Rocket Mortgage just did, They just bought Redfin. Redfin was a failing company. They bought it for a song at $1 billion. So, Zillow's market value, I think, is, close to 18 billion, plus, depending on, what day you're looking at it. Redfin, I mean, what a song. So they get that. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think Zillow is closer to, it's in the 30s. What is Rocket trying to do? They're trying to get what's called mortgage attach rates. So, hey, if we can have somebody come in and originate a mortgage with us, and then we pass them off to a real estate agent who we own, basically, then the likelihood of that mortgage attaching to us and us being able to service that mortgage over time is really, really high.
Okay.
Why is Zillow spending a ton of money trying to get into mortgage? Because it's a highly monetizable way of making money. To be redundant, but like that's so mortgage, I think, would probably be one of those really interesting areas. I also think it's an area where AI can do a lot to refine it, make it cheaper, make it much more streamlined. And so I think mortgage makes a ton of sense. Yeah. Title also makes a ton of sense because every single one of these transactions needs title work.
Yep.
So those are sort of your low-hanging fruit
that you could add into like the package.
Obvious, yeah. So like, hey, whether that's a referral relationship with a mortgage company or us owning a mortgage company, same thing with title.
Yep.
And so you brought up the idea of getting a percentage of the deal. There's a ton of legal rigmarole around that. Part of that is the biggest part of that is you can't receive a referral unless you're a brokerage.
Okay.
So you have to have a broker's license. Is that insurmountable? No.
So you could become a brokerage.
We could become a brokerage, and so you could do that. That is interestingly for most brokerages at scale, that is where their margins are tightest. Most brokerages at scale actually make more money through mortgage and title. Interestingly.
Why is that?
It's because there's a higher velocity of it oftentimes, and so think about mortgage. I mean, you not only get the deal, but you're also servicing it, or you can package up and sell it. So there's versus trying to track, hey, real estate agent, where do you get that lead? Do you get it from us?
Right.
Okay. How do you do that? Zillow's made a lot of money doing that, but they've also alienated themselves from a lot of real estate agents.
Okay.
And so watching this up front, watching sort of that relationship between real estate agents, they do make a lot of money as a result of referral fees. That's only a very recent thing, and it's only because they have so much leverage that real estate agents have become utterly dependent on them, and as a result, they can't say no to the lead. Okay, I've seen that not work out well for Zillow with the great majority of real estate agents, and good producing ones as well. I know a lot of really big teams have said we're just not doing the Zillow thing anymore.
Interesting.
So yeah, so as I've watched the models and what's really flourished and where people are making the most money, we're again trying to go to where it makes the most sense for us to engage. And then frankly, I think if we can do it in the U.S., we can do it in Canada. We can do it in Mexico. We can, I did my master's in Spain. I've got friends in Spain who said, like, hey, this would work all day long.
Totally.
So there's no reason why you can't go just win that entire, go global. There's a reason why Zillow can't go past the U.S. because they don't actually own their data. They aggregate their data from MLSs. And so because they're not originating their data from the source, they can't replicate what they're doing. They have to have an aggregation source below them that they're pulling from.
Okay.
Which is a really interesting reality, right? So if you think about their market cap, let's say it's, whatever it is, 35 million or whatever it is, 35 billion. And you look at Airbnb. Airbnb is a $90 billion company. Why? They're a worldwide company that owns their data. It's a really, really interesting sort of look at CoStar.
Sure.
CoStar is an now an international company that owns all of their data from the source. Far fewer subscribers. So it's a really interesting thing to think about. Like, okay, what actually creates value? It's actually the data set, and who owns the data set at the earliest possible moment.
Okay. So in the last 10 minutes or so here, I'll kind of put my artifacts judge hat on, and just kind of push you on the investment side. So
sure.
Hey, okay, love the company, love the idea, love the name. I think it's going to make a bunch of money. If I'm an investor, are there any guarantees? Number one, am I going to get my money back? What does that look like? Number two, are you just building up market cap and then you're going to sell and you're open to that idea? That's fine if that's the case, because maybe my payout's bigger, but do you plan on selling? And then lastly, if you don't plan on selling, do you have enough data to support that this is going to be a 50-year, 100-year, moneymaker for me? Or am I throwing in 10 grand and in a few years it's dried up, I'm not getting any ROI? Maybe it's sold to a different company and there's different terms. So as an investor,
when do I see my return?
When do I see my returns? And then is it going to be the same company? Is it going to get sold out to some Chinese firm? Is, some big, I don't know, an investment agency going to buy this?
Yeah.
Or is this going to stay local? It's going to be you. You're going to be the guy to talk to. You're going to grow your team, but you're going to be the guy. What does that look like?
Yeah.
From an investment side.
Great. I wish I had a crystal ball. I've told all of our investors that we'll make the best prudential decision as opportunities present themselves.
Okay.
I generally believe that companies that are building from our stage in order to get purchased make oftentimes short-term judgments about what to do that actually make them less valuable in the long term. Mm-hmm. So if you want to hope for a really, really great exit, somebody comes and buys you, build a firm that you could really love running for 20 years or more, right? So go build that. I'm in my 40s, right? I've got another few years running like crazy to build something that I believe that the industry desperately needs, the consumer desperately needs, and that I think is good for people to do their work with excellence. That's what drives me. Does that mean that we're going to build a company that will almost inevitably have offers to be purchased? 100%. That
sure,
will
totally.
That will absolutely happen. And then we'll make the right call at the time. Not because we need to sell. I never want to need to sell. And then, we'll all, and the beauty of investing, especially early, is that you're on this ship with the founder. And, I want to make the best possible decision for my family, for the families of the investors. And so, while I believe that I've been given the gift of 20 plus years in this industry in order to see clearly where the opportunity is to make a real impact, I'm also open to the beautiful providential opportunities that come as a result of new relationships and new opportunities that come down the pike. That's and that may be a way of saying, look, it is a way of saying I have no idea.
Sure,
but the reality is, if you're going to invest in a company, you better believe that the person behind it is properly motivated. So I would be lying if I said, hey, my goal is to sell in 3 years, and here's what it's going to be, and it's going to be a great return for everybody. I would be suspect of anybody who tries to tell you that they know what's going to happen 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. I'm just not that smart, right? Yeah. But what I can do is run a really, really great company in the meantime, and let the chips fall where they're going to fall.
Okay. Tons more questions, but I've got another interview in 5 minutes, so I got to let you go. For people who are interested in investing, reaching out to you, learning more about it, what's the best place to go? Just Whoovia.com?
Whoovia.com, Patrick@Whoovia.com. Send me an email. Okay. And obviously if you come to the pitch night on Friday, I'll have my information there as well.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time, and hopefully you can come back on another day.
Look forward to it.